Record here. Okay, I am Sam Brockington from Team Thrive, and I wanted to share tonight a little bit about my coaching journey and how I think that men can kind of join their wives in this coaching journey. Kind of what I've learned and what I feel like I can pass on. So the impetus for this call, kind of like the why this call happened, was I've been asked several times, especially since the Success Club trip in March, kind of what my role in the business is and how we work it together. And my initial response was, Ashley and I have been business partners for a decade. We know what each other think. It's usually the opposite of whatever we're thinking. Or she's thinking the opposite of whatever I'm thinking. But we know exactly what each other are thinking. We know our roles, we know our strengths and our weaknesses, and we know how to work together. And I don't know what to tell you because I don't know how duplicatable it is as far as like telling somebody else to do it. But just recently, I got asked twice within this last week of Summit of kind of what to do. And I felt like other people were kind of asking like, okay, so what do I do? I felt like that was coming. We had, 3 or 4 guys in our downline come to Summit. And I just felt like I should share this call. And then somebody from Shay's downline asked me like, hey, what do you do? Like, I want to do this with my wife. And then I heard some other things and I'm like, I know all these women in Dynasty United are interested in this. And I feel like I need to share with that. Brittany's been super generous with us. So I posted there. So it's a little bit bigger crowd than normal. But I feel like I have some information that more than a handful of people need. And so basically this is my journey, my opinion. You can chart your own course or you can follow this. My suggestion would be to follow kind of what I'm telling you to do, and then you can kind of chart your own course from there. That's kind of what I'm going to recommend. So so some of you guys are on the Zoom call for the first time. So one of the things that everybody always says when they get on the Zoom call is that they're super excited. So I am, I guess, super excited. So I am really, really happy to be able to share this with you because mainly because it just like all of a sudden hit me like, this is what you can share. Like, this is the obvious points. And I didn't see it at first when people were asking me. Like, I think I hadn't come far enough in the journey. I was still figuring out a lot of things, and I'm always figuring out things. Like, that's the part of the process. Like, that's what we do. But I think I'm to the point where I have enough reflection on it to kind of say like, okay, you all are, 6 months to 12 months behind me. Here's what I did. And then when you catch up to where I am now, then I'll give you the next 6 to 12 months. So let me pull up the slides now. Fair warning that I did these slides and Ashley didn't touch them. So you'll know why they're not as good as all the stuff that Ashley puts out on social media. Let's see. Let me share this screen and see if I can find my slides here. All right. Let's see. Can you all see that? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So what exactly are you supposed to do as a Beachbody husband? That's what I wondered for quite some time. And so that's what I'd like to share tonight. What I found on this journey. I think there's some different options for you, and I'll share that. And then I'll also give you my opinion on which one I think is best. Ashley and I worked as photographers for 10 years. I started out as a missionary and then became a teacher. And then we were photographers and small business owners. And then after that, I went to nursing school. So as a coach, this is like my 5th occupation. So I'm really good at learning new things. But anyway, Ashley and I were photographers for over 10 years. We grossed over $1 million in those small businesses. during that time had what I would consider 3 successful business ventures and 2 failures. One was the immediate videography failure that we kind of salvaged, and one was that they were sandwiched. They were one on the front end that was smaller that we figured out, and one on the back end that was pretty big that we still owe our family for. The point of that basically is just to say that we've been entrepreneurs. It's a mixture of failure and successes, and some things are within your control and some things are out of your control. But most of the time, if you figure it out and learn the lesson, then you can get better and better each time. There's some things that we did during that initial or that last failure that if we've learned some lessons from that. Let's put it that way. Okay, so here I think are your main options as a Beachbody husband. You can be a spectator, like a naysayer, like it's a pyramid scheme and you're not going to be good at that and you're not good at that and you can't do that. And basically just try to prove yourself right that your wife can't do this. Or if your wife does do it, then you become a kept husband because you don't know anything about the business. And so basically your wife is doing all the providing and you're not even helping because you were doubting the whole time. So you don't even know what you're doing. You're years behind her by the time she figures this thing out. You can be a cheerleader, which I totally respect. I would think that kind of leads to being the caretaker of your kids. Like once your wife becomes successful, because obviously your kids are very important to you. You're supporting your wife in this. I actually think this is where a lot of the husbands end up that are that have wives that are really successful. But I'm taking a different path, and I think that you should too. And this is the team player. That you should either be a utility player or a co-captain in your wife's business. I think you should get in the game. That's what I want. I want to be involved. I want to be part of this. I want to learn and grow. I want to change. And I think that you should too, with your wife. And I think that will make your business way, 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 way stronger. Yes, I am recording. Yeah. I love this quote from Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He says, you should mind your business, mind your own business. There's a big difference between your profession and your business. And the mistake that most people make is that they forget about their own business and basically they help other people make money. So they worry about their job and helping other people make money, and they don't think about their own business. So you should have some kind of own business that you are tending to. Now, maybe that's some kind of investment. Maybe that's real estate. Maybe that's this. I think for most of us, it's this, and that's why you're here tonight. So the advantages of having and minding your own business are you develop skills. This is huge because these skills are yours forever. You get to keep them. So to the next job or to the next entrepreneurial venture, you have these skills. These are things that you're owning and developing and honing. So investing, advertising, marketing, selling, negotiating, motivating, speaking, teaching, all these things are things that you're adding to your toolbox that you can use whenever. When you go to negotiate a deal, when you work on your investments, when you talk to a potential coach, when you talk to somebody you might be interested in a challenge pack, you always have these options to use these skills that you've developed. They're always yours. You have the tax write-off, which is kind of like, whatever. But there are some perks to that, in that like you can go on some trips and write most of them off. You develop new friendships, expand your mind and influence. Coaching gives you this opportunity with a very, very, very small buy-in. Your buy-in basically is food and doing your workouts. Very, very small expense. In exchange, you have to do a lot more work. Carl Deichler Oh, nice miss. Oh, that was a autocorrect. So, Carl, I do know how to spell your name, and for some reason, it autocorrected twice. So, Carl Deichler at Summit said one of my favorite takeaways from Summit. Actually, he said he quoted Warren Buffett from his book Snowball Effect, and he said, "Life is like a snowball. The important thing is finding wet snow in a really long hill." And he said, basically, we have these great products, and that's our wet snow. These are the most efficient products for helping you lose weight, let's be clear, lose fat, gain muscle, gain endurance and strength. So things like Shakeology, the 21-day fix, Beachbody On Demand, 3-day refresh, challenge groups, and the Beachbody family, the accountability, the corporate just kind of like support that are from these groups, calls like this, and then a long hill. Beachbody's tagline is that they want to end the trend of obesity in this country, well, in North America. And last year to this year went from 69% to 70%. So we didn't reach that goal. The coaching network grew by, I think, 28%, or the net profit in the company grew 28%, but we're still not even reaching that goal. So 70% obesity in North America is 226 million people. And the point that Carl made was that's a long hill. That's a long hill to roll that snowball down. There's a lot of momentum and a lot of snow and ice to pick up. Okay, so I want to share real quick. I don't make a big part of this. I don't want to make most of this about coaching, but I think being a proof of the product is important, and I want to show my transformation and my story a little bit. The first picture was when we started August 2014. I started August 13th, 2014. And the picture on the right, I believe, was from January of 2016. So completed. When I started, we were stressed. We had just moved from Southwest Florida. I was basically living off fast food the last month. I gained, I think, 5 to 8 pounds just the last month as we moved. Drinking probably 400 calories a day of cherry Coke.
Oh, there we go.
And then the picture on the right is after a year and a half on Beachbody programs and Shakeology. Namely, I was on, let's see, let me mute this one. All right. Namely, I was, I started with P90X3, lost 18 pounds in about 65 days on that, finished the program, and then since have done Insanity Max 30, 21-day fix extreme. We did Body Beast, and then I did Masters Hammer and Chisel twice, and then now I'm about to finish up 22-minute hardcore. So I've become a big believer in the products. I didn't doubt them really. I did doubt the business. I was very skeptical. So it took me a while to believe that. So I had some aha moments during the time. I did some studying. I tried to understand like how the business worked, and realized that basically this is a huge, enormous company. I don't know what they made this year. I think I'm not even sure I know what they made last year, but the year before, I think when we went to Summit, it was $1.4 billion. And that's a lot of money. And I started looking at it and like, is this sustainable? And I'm like, these guys are a lot smarter than me. They've been in business since 1998 and did 8 years of business as infomercials before they started the network. So here's some kind of aha moments in my journey and kind of what I did with them, because an aha moment doesn't really help you unless you're going to take action on it. So in April 2015, I decided that I needed to start learning about network marketing more, start learning about like what are we doing? What did we kind of get ourselves into? So I started listening to GoPro. It's audiobook or book by Eric Worre. This light's a little hot, isn't it? And I took action I was like, I'm just going to do it like he does it. So instead of doing a bunch of stuff on social media, I just cold market invited some people in person and started those conversations. August 2000, but I was still terrible at it. August 2015, went part-time as a nurse. I work neurotrauma ICU, so I see strokes and accidents. And that's a lot of what like gives me the to do this. I see these people with strokes that are from a lot of times type 2 diabetes and obesity, really hyperlipidemia lead to these strokes, especially the occlusive strokes, the ones that are blockages, which is about 85% of strokes. So I work part-time I dropped down to part-time to work more on the coaching. And I kind of told my boss, I'm like, look, I'm heading upstream. It's like the story where there's all these babies in the river and the villagers are pulling them out of the water and pulling them out of the water. And it's like eventually somebody in the village has to go upstream and find out who's throwing the babies in. And that's the kind of person I want to be. I want to be somebody who goes upstream and helps solve the problems before they become these enormous problems. So, but I was struggling with like, what do I do? And I knew I didn't know that it was going to take a long time. I just was like trying to figure out in that moment, like, what do I do? So November 2015, Ashley had won every now and then, like once a quarter or once every other month, they will do, when you hit Success Club, they will do a training that's 1 hour, like between the 8th and the 10th of the next month. And you will get that little window, and then maybe they might extend it for a couple of days to watch the recording. And there'll be nationally known speakers, like people that are phenomenal. Well, in November of last year, it was Darren Hardy. And I listened to that, and I decided I was really interested because I really like him. And I thought, I'm going to really kind of commit to whatever he says. And what his thing was that he was sharing a trick that he had learned, like kind of like a productivity hack. That's what he's like known for. And he said, what people don't realize is that to have a good year, you have to start the ground running hot like in 2016. He said, most people coast the last 45 days of the year. From like mid-November on, they don't do it. And so when 2016 hits, they don't have anything on their horizon. They haven't planned. And so I was like, that's not going to be us. I'm going to commit to this. So I got real serious then. In November, I sold a few challenge packs, which was really the first challenge packs I had sold on my own, let's say. Like, didn't have anything to do with Ashley. And so April when I started to November, that's 7 months, figuring out how to prospect, how to talk somebody through the process in a way that was like natural in person. And so kind of the point there was I got more serious. Like each time was kind of, becoming more serious in what I was to do. So by January of this year, I got real serious about personal development. Ashley and I made the goal of reading or listening to an audiobook a week. Setting a great routine. We've gotten up early most of this year. There was maybe a few weeks that we got out of that. Prospecting regularly in person and online, taking ownership of the business, checking our downline, help onboarding new coaches, and doing some of the weekly calls. But this was a serious process. I remember one of the things that actually stands out to me, and one of my kind of aha moments in that I was not where I wanted to be, was there was a time, I think in April, when I just started, like, I'm going to help out with the business, but I didn't know what I was doing. And there was like a time when there was like 10 or 15 minutes we were waiting for Ashley to get home. And I remember Lindsay and Jen Dougherty were on a call, and I was like, I have nothing to offer them. And I was like, this can't happen again. So that was kind of one of my moments where I was like, if I'm going to do this, I have to be filling my head with something. I have to be able to give them something. This can't happen again. And so that was kind of one of the things that really set my mind on fire, that I have to take responsibility and I have to at least learn something to be able to cover for 15 minutes on a call. And so this is kind of what happened out of that. Okay, so let me just check my notes here and see if there's anything else I wanted to throw in. Okay, so give me 1 second. I just don't want to leave anything out. Okay, this is an important point. I'm glad I looked at this. I talked to, so why I did this call is I talk to men and they say, like, I want to help out, or I don't know how to help out, or how do you help out, or what's your role in this business? And I've thought about it, and here's the deal. The social media aspect and how women relate to each other is different. The rest of the business is essentially the same. We're helping people. We're helping them get momentum towards health in their life. We're walking them through a process. We're asking them a lot of questions. We're learning what their goals are. We're matching their goals with programs and with nutrition plans and helping them get from point A to point B. And we're stepping them through it. We're helping them get a transformation in their life. That doesn't change. So maybe how you run your groups, or if you text guys or whatever, but you're still talking to these people. In fact, a lot of the challenge packs I sell are still to women, and I just plug them into Ashley's groups. Doesn't mean I can't have the conversation with them. I work with a lot of women as being a nurse, and so that's a lot of who I see. I don't think it changes. I think guys are a little bit more headstrong, but essentially the business is the same. I guess that's my point. And so I boiled down a few things that I feel like are things you should do. Now, when I say this, these aren't things you're going to be able to do in a week or a month. These are like a 6 to 12 month process. It might take some of you longer depending on what your job, what you're doing. And then like how serious you are about this business and what else you have going on. I mean, you may work for yourself and you may be minding 2 businesses, and I understand that. If you're not minding 2 businesses though, I would think you should invest pretty heavily in this one, or go towards some of the personal development that will develop both your business and your wife's business. Okay, action steps for men. Okay, the one obvious one that I didn't put on here is be a proof of the product. I think you should become an expert at 3 programs. I would say put on your list for 2016 and early 17, complete at least 3 programs. Do one now. Do one maybe like when Core de Force comes out, and then do another one in December, January, February. Kind of put that on your to-do list. Okay. One of the first things I did was Brittany did a call. I don't know when, but she talked about decision being decide coming from the root of to cut off. And if it doesn't, so what I decided to do was I felt like there's some things, not necessarily like bad things, just kind of time waster things in my life that I could cut out without cutting out time with my kids. And so I would suggest that you kill some of your apps. If it doesn't build your business, adios. So I got rid of my my Sports Center app. I got rid of my Bleacher Report app. Just some of the things that I didn't need on there. I got rid of some of the kids' apps too. I was like, my phone is going to be for business. There's going to be space to take pictures and video, and there's going to be space for audiobooks that I can listen to when I commute. and there's not room for anything else in my life. That's what I decided. So find some time. So one of the principles that Darren Hardy likes is he says, use your net time, no extra time. So I started listening to GoPro when I was mowing my yard, when I'm helping cook, when I commute, during my workout. A lot of times I'll listen to personal development. That may or may not work for you. I understand some people are like, I got to have music. And some people are like, I got to hear the instructions. Okay, so here's some other ones. Listen to or read GoPro, Compound Effect, and Miracle Morning for Network Marketers. The first two I read really early on. This last book, Miracle Morning for Network Marketers, or Miracle Morning, we just read that book, and it's amazing, and I wish I had read it 12 months ago. So that's why I threw that one in there. The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster is also really good. It will let you know that when it's really hard and you can't figure it out and all that stuff, that's all normal. Also that this is a fantastic time to be an entrepreneur. Probably the best time in history. We have the marriage of like the information age where you can find all this information, and the connection age when you can connect to all these people. And that's never happened before. In fact, they have done studies or projections of how many millionaires there will be, and they were actually off. They were short. They didn't predict enough. There were actually more. And so it's a fantastic time to be an entrepreneur. And you can really take advantage of that. And this is an opportunity to take advantage of that. Okay, listen to National Wake Up Call. These calls are on you can get them on iTunes on the audio or on the podcast. Is probably the easiest way. They're Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. So the easiest way is probably for you to just catch up with them on the podcast. They'll do recognition, so you kind of understand that, but then they'll do a call. What the importance of these calls is, it helps you understand the products, and it also helps you with stories. The stories are super important in telling other people about coaching. If you didn't hear this one by Carl, that was yesterday, I just listened to it today. It's the best call I've heard. It was even better than some of the stuff at Summit. So definitely do that. Here's some other podcasts. The Shakeology podcasts are in the back office. I think you can actually get them on the podcast as well, but I know they're in the back office. If you want more info on health, Sean Stevenson is really good for that. He's got a super popular one on iTunes. Again, autocorrect. Shalene, I know how you spell your name. Shalene Johnson. She's especially good with social media trends and entrepreneur stuff. And then Darren Lean's podcast on superlife.com/podcast. That is another huge thing that I realized. Basically, most of the volume that's generated in this business is from Shakeology. So you need to know your stuff on Shakeology. And understanding Darren's philosophy on nutrition was mind-blowing to me. So that is a great place. I don't know if I'd start there, but maybe do GoPro and the Compound Effect and the Miracle Morning first, but then skip all the way down and do that. superlife.com/podcast. Okay, here's some other goals for the 6 to 12 months. Know how to walk someone through a 5-step invite. If your wife is out of town for a few days or sick, or your son or daughter has to go to the hospital and they're in the hospital for 2 or 3 days, and there's hot leads in her inbox, could you close that deal? You should be able to do that. Maybe you say, maybe she just logs in and says, hey, can my husband talk to you about this? And text the number or whatever, just so you can keep the continuity of the business going. I feel like you should be able to do that. Not right away, but within 6 to 12 months, I feel like you should be able to ask the right questions and move people along. Should be able to talk to people at work, on the road, if you travel a lot for your business, and sell a challenge pack without her help. That's one of your goals as well. She didn't do the prospecting. She didn't do the questions. You did. The action is actually in practicing. So you have to step out and do it. You can't just learn it all. Okay, so here's the cool part, though, that I found out. You're going to fail a lot, but it's kind of like a corn maze, that it's just like a set course. So all you do is somebody walks in the front of that corn maze, and you just lead them through the corn maze to the other side, and you hit a dead end, and you're like, oh shoot. But then the next time you remember there's a dead end there, so then you go this way and this way and this way. Eventually you figure your way out the corn maze. You know the whole corn maze, and you know exactly how to get somebody from point A to point B. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that the objections are all the same, and once you figure out what to do with every single objection, you basically can lead somebody right through the process. It doesn't mean that they'll necessarily buy a challenge pack, but usually it means that they'll at least come back to you when they are ready. Really, sometimes it can be money. Very few times it's money. It's usually that somebody's not ready, and if they're not ready, then you can't help them change. So ask enough questions. Objection, question, objection, question, objection, question. And then if they back out, leave them something to think about. Not in a bad way, in a good way. I'm here when you're ready. I'd love to help you. Let's look at your budget. What are some ways that you could save? Are there some people that would, could join you? Like, leave them with something. I think you should know general building strategy in the business, where to place people. Doesn't mean that you necessarily agree with your wife, but you should be able to have that discussion so that you can talk intelligently about building your business, and get to know her coaches. And you should be able to, I think within a year, help with onboarding those new coaches. Look, if you've been in this business for 12 to 18 months, you should know a lot more than somebody who's been in it 12 to 18 hours. So you should be able to help onboard those new coaches. Know enough to answer simple questions to help those new coaches, like how to send a link, how to talk with customer service, basic rules on Success Club, rank, things like that. Like, what's the next step for me? Help them through. This is why you should know conversations, because they're going to ask you, what do I say to this person? And you need to be able to help them. So I think that that's really important. Go to some events, go to Summit, go to Super Saturday, go on a Success Club trip, meet some people, do the fun parts. Comment on her coach's feeds, or maybe even some of the prospects if that's appropriate. But for sure, the coaches help them out. That's super easy, and that's one you can adopt right away. And then do stuff, help around the house, kids, dinners, getting them to bed. Set a healthy example so that you're not giving your kids like a bunch of fast food. What you want to do is you want to set yourself apart. So if you eat the same as everybody else, then why would somebody pick you as their coach? Why wouldn't they just pick anybody else? So you want to set that example. Remember that basically when you're making those choices, you're also making the choices for your business. It starts with why, and people connect with what you're doing. So when I go to work, I always pack a salad with protein, and I always pack healthy stuff. I'm not saying I don't always eat other stuff that's there, but I always pack healthy stuff, and the people kind of know what I generally do, and what I generally eat. And it's helped me a lot. It's made it a lot easier because people know that I'm pretty consistent with what I believe, and I practice what I preach. Learn how to take pictures. Become a better iPhoneographer. So that's a term from the photography days. Encourage her and tell her you believe in her. Your words go really far. Ashley's dad and I are certainly not perfect people, but I think that we've always believed in her. And I think that's made a big difference in her success. For sure, her dad. Be patient. The business takes time. All businesses take time. This is one of the things that I love from GoPro is he says people expect like the business world rules not to apply to network marketing, and it's foolish. It just takes time. Gary Vaynerchuk was saying like most people aren't successful because they give up. They're not persistent. So make sure you do that. Okay, action steps for women. I'm not going to let you totally off the hook. So give him some time. It takes some time, and he's not going to be able to figure it out right away. He's a new coach. Involve him in the things that he wants to be involved in. This is a Summit joke, but he's not your popple. If he doesn't like doing it, outsource that thing or figure out a way to outsource it as soon as possible. If it's something important you need to do for your business, then maybe you need to do it. But you could probably outsource it if it's something that you're really not crazy about. Don't criticize. He's a new coach. He's learning. It's just going to shut him down. Think about know that he's going to make some mistakes, and work through them and figure it out. Don't give him more responsibility than he can handle, and he shouldn't take on more than he can handle. A lot of the conversations, like I wouldn't do a lot of conversations for cold market people until I had figured that out with my warm market people in person, for example. Think how valuable it's going to be when you and your husband knows as much as you, like in a year or two. When you talk strategy for your business and you get on the same page for your business. If your husband isn't helping much, I love this. This is a what's his name? Stephen Covey principle that Shalene also talks about. Make a better presentation. So if you're watching this and your husband's not supportive and you're like, I don't know how to get him to be supportive, you have to make a better presentation. So think about it. Here's some ideas. Prove to him why it matters. Whether it's that you're serious or this is a good business opportunity, it's your responsibility to prove to him what you see in this and what you expect to get out of it. Okay, it's about to get hard, and this isn't a right-away thing either, but this should be your goal. Get Success Club 10 to 20 every month, and this is why. You want to show them that you're getting free paid leads, because that's pretty cool, to get $40 to $100 a month just because you got help 5 people instead of 4 people the month before is pretty awesome. And that your name is way up there on the leaderboard. You have to be you really kind of have to be in the top small percentage long term to make like a 6-figure business, to like make this a long-term thing. Show them that you're doing what it takes to get there in your business. Now if you're hitting Success Club 5 and I'm saying 20, like that's a big jump, and that's not going to happen in 1 month. But that can be something that you plan over 6 to 12 months. Come up with a game plan to get there. A lot of times people don't talk about this, so I'm just going to be honest. If you all are doing this together and this is your business, like I want you to be successful, and these are some of the tricks that I think are really important. Earn some cool things and invite them to them. The special parties at Summit, typically you have to have like that 10 to 20 things to earn those. The 1-hour trainings for Success Club, like the Darren Hardy thing. Like if Ashley hadn't earned that, and really at that point, yeah, Ashley earned that because I was not helping very much in those months. I wouldn't have gotten that aha moment from Darren Hardy. So think about that too. Are you putting your husband at the point of highest potential to learn about the business? Know the thresholds. Michael Neiman talked about this at Summit, but team leader and 2-star are big deals in this business. So that's a little bit something for your presentation to help them understand how close you are maybe to reaching those goals and what those goals would mean for your business. And then get some people some results. Get some people in your challenge groups. Even if you're just starting out, like just get some people in there. Like do the free on demand or something, and just be like, I'm going to hold you super accountable. help some people out. This was a big deal for me. There was a guy I helped that bought he found P90X3 in like 2 bags of Shakeology from somebody at work, and he paid $10 for them. And I was like, this has got to be a joke. But I was like, I guess he's for real. So it was a guy from high school. So I helped him. He lost 25 pounds. And that was it as far as coaching. Like, I was hooked. Before I even sold him a challenge pack, I was hooked because I loved it. And this is a guy who's former Air Force and pretty sure Air Force. And he said, you know, I didn't have the courage to get started, and you gave me that courage. And, you know, that's something that I hold on to as a coach. Like, that gives me a lot of motivation. So get some transformation, show your husband this. And this is a great thing for you guys. It's super motivating. Learn, grow, and develop. Show them that you're serious and that you're constantly learning and not scared to take risks and learning new trainings, talking to strangers, etc. Do some things that your husband hasn't seen you do that shows you're growing. That's all I mean. Show them that you're serious. I thought I had more, but I guess that's it. Let me make sure. No, that's what I got. So basically, to summarize, I think the most important part is really learn the business. You're not going to do it the same way. You're not going to have the same strengths, but I don't think you'll be able to really use your strengths for the business until you understand the business, because there's like this creativity factor that comes with your strengths and pairing your strengths together, but you can't do like the creative dance of something until you actually know the structure. So I know that sounds kind of weird, but it wasn't super obvious to me. I had to kind of go through it and figure out, like, okay, now I know about Shakeology. Now I know kind of how we deal with these objections. Now I know that I ask more questions. Now I can lead somebody through this process. Now I can train coaches. Now I can lead a call. It's all a process, and it takes time, but it's not any harder. It's much easier than almost any other profession that you could do. I trained to be a nurse for 3 years. Really, it was probably 4 years, and that was really after I'd already been to college. And I'm telling you that I got decent at this, pretty decent, above average in maybe 9 to 12 months. We're at like 14 months from me really starting to try. So I think that you can do a lot more than you expect, and just think long term. This is a business all about long term. Nobody's making a lot of money in a year. This is something that's a long term commitment to build and grow this business and to help a lot of people. So, think long term with your strategies. Basically, I looked at it like this last year. If I keep learning and I keep doing my workouts and I keep eating healthy, there's no way this business isn't going to succeed, because if I look as good and as strong at 40 as I did when I'm 20, then people are going to be begging me for what we're doing. And so that's kind of how I look at it. So far, that mentality and mindset has helped a ton at work. And I've been able to help actually a lot of coworkers think through, like, what are you doing with your life? Because I think about it all the time. And so I've been able to use some of that personal development stuff for that. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. And I think I'm actually going to leave it running, because I think my guess is some of the questions will be really good. No questions, for real?
So
I'm sure Ashley has one.
well, I was going to say also just how we use our opposite strengths. Like, I was afraid of pushing people, but like, because you were a nurse, you were able to show that it was really best for them to kind of come after them.
I don't think you can hear Ashley, but basically she said one of the things that we kind of learned was that when you start partnering with somebody else, they kind of expose your weaknesses and like really help define your strengths. And one of the things that I'm probably a little bit better at was pushing people. As a nurse, you have to really tell the truth. And I have to do that in ICU, and I have to be really honest with people about like their families and everything. And it really has to do with the integrity of the profession. Like I can't tell somebody who is, brain dead and doesn't have any reflexes. I can't tell their family like, yeah, they're going to be fine. Like I have to tell them we don't sense any brain activity. They're not breathing on their own. And so we have to tell it how it is. And so I really try to, but we also have to encourage people that can get better, that they have that responsibility and that they can do it. And so that's the kind of attitude I take in the challenge groups and with, people that I talk to is it's not like really tough love. It's just encouraging them towards the goals that they've already set. And not giving up on people, and being willing to push them. It's also in conversations, being willing to go. Carl said this today. He's like, if somebody says no to you and you find out the real reason is that they failed in the past and they're scared to fail again, but you didn't even get there, you gave up too soon. He's like, you don't really care about them. And he's right. Like, if you care about people, then you need to find out really what's the real reason why they're not ready. Anyway, that's a good point that Ashley said. There is a question here. I'm trying to look here. Hi, my husband works third shift and I work days. How do we make our business work with this type of schedule? I work night shift now. I work 3/12s, but there's a real good call by I forget. It was the June 20th National Wake Up Call, and it was with I forget. She was a teacher. She was a high school teacher, and she talked about how she basically over 2 years built her business with just little pockets of time. And so basically the what you're going to have to do is work in pockets of time and work, come up with a good game plan for what you do. So when you have bigger windows of time, like say on the weekend or whatever, plan out what you're going to do. Try to do a post, try to get ahead, and then actually do your conversations with people 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, on breaks, and then do your personal development in the car on your ride to work. Fit it in. I think there's a couple of things like that's a good question, and it kind of shows a point. Like one of the things in the book Miracle Morning for Network Marketers, he says there are no advantages or disadvantages. They are basically, if you overcome a disadvantage, like what would that mean to you? And usually it would mean something incredibly significant for your business. If you do, I'm not saying this real well. I kind of looked at the next question. I'm like already trying to answer that. But basically what I would say to you, Chelsea, is that think about what you can do for your business. Often this creative solution will come when you go, okay, so what can we do? And maybe it is do a video about how crazy your lives are and that you're still making the workouts work for you. And inspire people that like you're doing it despite those things. I would go work 12-hour shift. I would work out before about 80% of the time. So door to door, that's 14 hours, and I would still figure out a way to get a workout in, even if it was a back-to-back shift a lot of times.
And
So
I became an elite team with you working the third shift and me homeschooling 5 kids. And
Ashley figured out how to become elite last year virtually on her own. I maybe helped out maybe 10% of that. And for the most of last year, I was working 3 12-hour shifts at night, 25 minutes away. And she was homeschooling and taking care of 5 kids. And we did the math. If we eat out twice a week, it's still 127 meals without the snacks. So it is doable. It is possible. Everybody kind of has the same amount of time. And so you have to figure out, like, okay, so what am I doing working or being busy that's not getting me towards my goals? And so there was some what we call creative procrastination and things that we put off, like my yard should be mowed once a week. Maybe it got mowed every 15 days. There's things like that we just, put off because we wanted to build our business, and we knew that long term that would solve more problems. And we want to help our coaches. So Lindsay asked, Sam, are you hitting Success Club every month, or are you putting everything under Ashley so there's higher numbers there? Right now we're putting most everything under Ashley. Basically, we both look at it like we have 3 business centers, and we're going to put them wherever it is that best helps, our bottom line, and best helps Ashley to get elite. It's kind of a combination of those things. So we're going to have to put some people in my business center to keep it diamond. And so we're going to do that, but we're going to wait until after Team Cup as far as any new people. And then ideally we try to slide people over that want to be discount members, but we're going to have to put some building coaches in there as well. Because long term, we'd like to build that as well. So that's a good question. We just see it as one big business, so we put people wherever it makes sense. Yeah.
Why don't you explain how, like, getting to 2-star pretty quickly and opening this 3rd business center on the week, like how in 1 year you basically made, like, you're making like $500 to $700 a week. Okay,
one of the things that really we did that has really helped our business is that Ashley worked on getting to 2-star diamond as quick as she could, because by doing so she was able to get a second business center, and she was able to put that under my weak leg. So if you don't know all this stuff, that's fine. I mean, you can figure it out, I guess it would be the best thing to say. But essentially, because building that way, like last year around May, I think we were making about $400 to $500 a week between Ashley and me. I was making almost nothing. So Ashley was making probably $350 to $400 a week, and I was making, $50 to $150 a week. And then she got that second business center and put it underneath, and there was volume built up on that strong leg of my business center. And as she built that second business center, by I think July or August, we were making double that. So we were making about $1,000 a week, whereas we were making about $500 a week just a few months before. And so you kind of take your business into your own hands a little bit more. And are able to control that because you can put people down below that you couldn't before, and you can sign up more coaches down underneath your husband's weak leg.
Husbands asking their parents and siblings is a big deal too, because they can build themselves the diamond just by being brave enough to ask family members to
Yeah, Ashley said, if you can get your family members to help you even for just a short time to get to diamond, that would also, under your husband, like your husband ask his family, that would be another way a husband could help out. Because once you get to 2-star, you get that second business center. If you drop, it doesn't you still have that second business center. So once you earn it, you can't take it away. So if your family's like kind of ready to go and they'd be willing to buy a challenge pack for a couple months or get on Shakeology for 2 or 3 months, you could use them to kind of build an emerald on the side. You can't like pay for them. Like that's illegal. But if they're wanting to try it anyway, you can kind of stack your brother and your mom and your dad over there for a few months to get to Diamond. Then, put some other coaches there and hold it. But that would help you maybe get that second Diamond as a strategy. Any other questions? Well, it was awesome to talk to you all. Thanks for coming. I hope this is helpful for people on the recording. And I hope you know that we're here to help you with your business, even amidst the chaos that you can hear in the background, I think. So and this is kind of how we do it. We just keep moving forward despite the absolute craziness. We've been potty training for 2 weeks, and it's been absolute insanity. I'm going to stop the recording. It's probably going to pinwheel for a second, and we can talk if you want. But